Hello and welcome back to my channel. We officially have completed 2 months of our lock-in now. This month we did have a lot of ups and downs, but there was one thing that was consistent throughout the whole month, and that was consistency. With that being said, obviously we completed all of the scheduled runs and lifting sessions that I had planned for this month. When I actually started thinking about it, I think this is the most consistent I have been in the gym in a pretty long time. One huge thing we're actually able to do this month is get back outside for doing outdoor runs, and it has been really fun but also really challenging. But we've done this challenge once before of having to transition off the treadmills that are kind of like a helping hand that are forcing you to hold a certain pace, plus you're in a controlled environment, so you have all those benefits of the treadmill. Speaking of a controlled environment, one of the real reasons we want to get outside is because the heat was on for so long in the gym. I will say they finally did put the AC on, which has been so nice because for right now, I have transitioned to doing two of my runs outside and then one of them still on the treadmill. And that's just simply because of the amount of time I have that day for the run. Like, I can't really fit in any possible like variables that could come from doing an outside run compared to like knowing, okay, on the treadmill, done, go right back home and go do what you have to do. So that's my plan for right now with that one. I also want to take that run that's going to be on the treadmill since, like I said, it does help you, hold a little bit of a faster pace and use it kind of as a bit of like a tempo run. I want to start and split the time in half and kind of just like keep it at an easier pace and then towards the end try to pick it up and get myself going. Since prior to this, I didn't really have anything that was kind of speed work focused. So I want to make sure that I have that somewhere. So I think that's what the treadmill is going to be used for from now on. While we're on the topic of cardio, I have been trying to fit more cardio into like my routine just because I, was looking some research because I kind of have been stuck at this crappy weight plateau for a while now. And obviously people were saying more cardio will help you do that. But obviously I don't want to add more running days in because I feel like right now what I have is just the perfect amount for someone who's like not really training for anything. So I'm happy with what I have, but I figured maybe I can try to add more cardio after, my lifts and things like that. So to get more cardio in, I've been using our elliptical that we have in the gym just because that's like the only other real cardio machine we have. Obviously, we have that bike if you've seen it down there before. Hate that bike. The seat's uncomfortable. It's just not going to work. And I wish it would work because I would love to use that. If the elliptical's taken or I'm just not really feeling that, I will use the treadmills just to do a simple walk, but like nothing as far as intense of running. Another big thing that has happened kind of outside the gym, but also does affect the inside of the gym is some updates on my lymphedema, or should I say lipedema. Two big things actually happened around this topic this past month. One, you already kind of know, I got the mechanical compression sleeve things, and I also in turn have stopped using those things because I don't really love them. I made a whole video on it. If you want to hear my experience using them, I will link that for you guys so you can go and check it out and hear the whole thing so I'm not repeating myself. The second big thing I mentioned in that video was that I had an appointment with a lymphedema doctor. Now that is still an appointment I have in July, but in the meantime I actually found a lymphedema specialist slash like therapist, and I actually went and got an appointment with her and met with her, and that is where she told me, you don't just have lymphedema, you also have lipedema. Now, I will say the appointment gave a lot of information. It was like honestly overwhelming. Even the doctor herself said, this is overwhelming for you to receive all this, in such a short time. But I'm not going to talk too much in depth about what happened at that appointment, just so I can make a whole dedicated video about it so that, I don't feel like I'm trying to rush or shorten what I have to say on what happened. Plus, on top of that, I also have one more appointment with her that I think will be very pertinent to the video and discussing this topic. So my plan is next week we can sit down, discuss everything, share my experience and everything about this with you guys next week. I will say I do plan on still going to this other doctor in July just kind of to get like a second opinion and just see what he says compared to what she has me doing. And I don't think it's bad to have a second opinion. And probably the most positive news of this whole month, I actually found time to read. If you didn't see, I shared it on my Instagram. I started reading Where There's Room for Us by Haley Kiyoko, and I really am enjoying the book. I think the only issue is I don't have a lot of time to read. The time that I found to read was actually when I would take my mom to the doctor's appointment and I'd be in the like waiting room for her, is the perfect time for me to kind of just sit there and read. I will say there was a lot of things trying to stop me from reading. One of the doctors, I was sitting there, was so quiet. It was early in the morning, just me. The receptionist just came out of nowhere, decided to turn the TV on and start playing just like highlight clips of Family Feud. So that was a challenge to try to focus on the reading and also hearing Steve Harvey in the background. It was it was an experience. Sadly, there's a positive and negative here. Positive is my mom has no more doctor's appointments. She is good. Her wrist is all good to go. Hence why we are running back outside now. Con, there goes my reading time. My other plan was I was actually going to try to read while I was using the compression boots, since I said in my video, I don't feel them when I stand up, so it's better to use them when I'm sitting down, and you get a whole hour, so I'm like, that would be perfect. But since I don't really like the boots, I haven't really been like, oh yeah, I should sit down and do that and read, so I haven't really had much other time to actually, read, which I think this topic also helps us segue into like what we can do better and improve on in May. Obviously, yes, I did start reading, but I want to make sure that I'm making like a designated time to read, because I am just watching the time I have on these books dwindle down on Libby, and they're being like, hey, we're going to take them back very soon. So I think for me right now, the best time to actually start reading is like an hour before I'm going to go to bed. In the past, I know that I'm a person that like I will read and it will put me to sleep, even if it is on a Kindle and a screen. I just think obviously it's very different to be looking at the Kindle screen versus scrolling TikTok. My plan for right now is I'm gonna like get ready completely for bed, brush teeth, all of that, have nothing else to do, go in bed, read, and potentially either fall asleep reading or then just finish for my hour and go to bed. I think that will be my best bet. As far as the lymphedema area of like where I want to improve with that, I think that will kind of shape itself a little bit more of like what I want to do for May once I see this doctor one more time. I think, that's kind of where we started making a plan, but I think this next appointment will kind of like wrap up the plan and be like this, and this. So for right now, no update, but it's in a couple days, so I will have my plan by then, and I'll probably share what it will be in that video where I talk all about my experience. For the exercise portion, one of the things I actually mentioned in the last video was that I wanted to kind of, get myself to pick up those heavier weights and just, push myself a little bit more. And that is something I definitely have been doing in April, and it's been going really well. I'm kind of realizing like, hey, you're actually a little bit stronger than you are giving yourself credit for. Like, you can do a few more reps, or maybe, some things I'm even like moving up in weight where, I'm not doing the full set of reps, but, I'm getting halfway there and I'm realizing, no, I am improving, and I'm not giving myself the credit for like what I can actually potentially lift. So as far as like the weightlifting, I don't really think there's anything I want to change. Even with the running, I don't really feel like there's anything. I feel like I'm progressing really nice by adding the 5 minutes every week. I think it's working for me. I'm not noticing any pains or anything like that. I think the one thing I really want to do is just focusing on adding more of that cardio. Now, I will say, when I came up with the idea and like looking at this, I only got to do it for one day out of this whole month because it was very close to the end, and it just happened with my schedule. I think for this, it's not gonna be something that I want to be like, I have to do this like every single day that I'm not running is put this cardio in. I think for me, bare minimum, I think it should just be like on lower body and upper body. I think that would be the best, just because that's not as cardio as my full body day is. My full body is supposed to be kind of inspired by more of like a high rocks deca. It's getting your heart rate up much higher than it would by lifting the weights. So for right now, I think I'm just going to try to get a little bit of extra cardio on those 2 days. If I can fit in some extra cardio after my full body, if I have time, then like maybe I will. I do think one other day I definitely want to try to fit cardio in is my rest day. Now, I know it is supposed to be my rest day, but because it is my rest day and I'm not usually going out or really doing anything, it's also the day that I struggle the most to get my steps in. So I think even if I just like went down and it was like, oh, I'm just gonna walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes, or I'm gonna go outside for a walk, I definitely think that would be very beneficial just for, helping me get my steps in, because it can be very daunting to try to get your steps in when you literally have nothing to do that day and you just like, yeah, I'm just gonna relax, and then you're like, oh my god, it's 7 o'clock and I only have like 5,000 steps. Overall though, I think everything we are doing right now has been working really well. I think it's obviously, like I said, building really good consistency, and I think all of this is going to be very doable once the lock-in is over. That was kind of my goal with this. I didn't want it to be something that's like 75 hard where people are doing this and then they can't keep it up afterwards, because it's just a little too unrealistic. I feel like everything that I am putting into this has been realistic. It fits in my schedule, which I think is why I'm able to do it. I'm not being like, oh my god, I have to fit this in, like this doesn't fit, like where can I put this, and making it a whole big thing. It's just something that's part of my day and I go on. But that is all for this week. As always, if you want to see these a bit closer to real time, the recap, I would definitely recommend checking out my Instagram. Every Monday I'm posting a like mini recap of the week over there. I do hope you guys enjoyed this recap, and I will see you soon. Till then, roll the outro.